Hello, everybody. My name is Zachary Ireland. I'm a grade 12 student in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and I have a passion for STEAM. But surprisingly, my interest in STEAM, or the evolution of my interest in STEAM, has not always been linear. I started out not liking math, science, or art whatsoever. I wanted nothing to do with it. But when the COVID-19 pandemic hit and I was forced into isolation, I was separated from all external influence, and it was quite possibly the most boring period of my life. So academics really became like an outlet of entertainment for me. And I tuned into school just in time to catch the physics unit in my grade 10 science class. And I found a passion that I never realized I had. And after finding this passion, it grew to encompass a larger area of science and mathematics, and even encompasses the arts in some ways. Now, a topic that really, caught my eye in this grade 10 science class was climate change. And even though this is more of a climatology topic, physics can produce options and solutions which we can implement in regards to climate change. So I engaged with this topic with hesitancy because I didn't know a lot about it. That's a given because I didn't like science, but also because it's a dense subject matter. It's a lot to take in. And I think that when approaching any new topic in STEAM, it's best to assume that you know nothing. Because if you start thinking that you know something, then you might start at a place you're not ready to start at, and that can cause irritation and ultimately taint your interest in the subject matter. So I started slow and I kept up with my homework in this grade 10 science class, and I kept in what they say flow, and I eventually worked my way up to conducting actual research, or at least what I consider actual research. And last year, my research project was detecting or quantifying radiation absorption, right? So the purpose of the research was to determine alternate materials for reactor control rods and also nuclear containment, so things that need to absorb radiation. And if these alternate materials are A, environmentally safe, and B, cheaper than the materials that we are currently using, then we can decrease the cost of nuclear power plant manufacturing. Other areas of my research looked at, the intensity of climate change, the severity of it, and solutions that we could implement within the next 10 years before irreversible damage occurs. And I referenced a study that was conducted at MIT in 2018, which looked at 1,000 different scenarios to reach a carbon-free future. And all the most quickest, safest, and economically feasible situations involve the implementation of nuclear power plants to assist in the transition between fossil fuels and renewables. But there's an inherent problem with this idea because nuclear power has met large stigmatization ever since it was introduced. And that's understandable. I mean, humanity's introduction to nuclear power was an atomic bomb in World War II. And that same technology that was used in that bomb was later used to create the first nuclear power plant. And then a movie was released which depicted a fake nuclear power plant meltdown. And only a couple days after the release of this movie, an actual meltdown happened at 3 Mile Island. It was really the perfect storm that just caused the large scale stigmatization of nuclear power. But really, in a situation as urgent as we are with climate change, we really have 10 years to act. So we have to choose between these two evils, right? It's either fossil fuels or it's nuclear, according to the study by MIT. And nuclear isn't as dangerous as we take it to be. I mean, the uranium waste can be disposed of through mixing it with fresh uranium to make new control rods, or it can be disposed of through controlled burial. And according to the NASA Goddard Institute, along with Columbia and Yale University, nuclear power has actually prevented up to 1.84 million deaths. So it has saved just below 2 million lives. These lives would have been lost if climate change, or if fossil fuels had been used in turn of nuclear power. These lives would have been lost just by common workplace injuries that occur on a fossil fuels job. You see, if used properly, science can really modify solutions, but also solve problems. In 1894, the Times of London predicted that in 50 years, every street in London would be covered in 9 feet of cow manure. This was an actual issue. This was something that people were very concerned about. And this was like relevant in most big cities that used horses at this period in 1894. But this solution, or this problem, became irrelevant really, really fast with the invention of the combustion engine. right? So the point I'm getting at is that there's always another way to do something. There's always another way that we can reach our goal, or that we can progress without having to take an economically damaging or environmentally damaging route, right? And this, even if it's just like fooling around with an instrument, or trying something new in a lab, that's really powerful and that's extremely valuable. And if fooling around in a lab, and if this ingenuity can solve the great manure crisis of 1894, then I'm sure it can solve not only the problems that we face today, such as climate change, but also the problems that we will inevitably be facing in the future, because there will always be more, but science will always introduce more solutions. Thank you.